You've been thunderstruck.
My son was a graduate in 1993 at Woodbridge High School. It happened to be the year that this facility, the two baseball fields and the soccer field, were opened up, was in 1993, and I was very involved in that development. When my son passed away in a car accident in '94, there were several people in the community that did an awful lot of nice things for us, one of which was a willingness to rename the stadium after my son. And my thought was that started with, I'd like to have some recognition of who he was if the field was named after him. So with a lot of private donations and help from a lot of community members, there was a willingness to have the plaques and to create the statue. And so there was some thought into the meaning behind the pose and where it's looking and where it's standing. That the one thing my wife and I didn't want to have this be is a momentary athletic achievement. We've seen statues where you see a guy hitting it out of the park or throwing a strike or something like that. That to me, that wasn't athletics. It wasn't about the momentary achievement. It's about the lesson learned. Anyone that's been involved in athletics, you'll hear a coach say grab a knee. The term grab a knee typically means because I, the coach, I'm about ready to explain something to you. I'm about ready to teach you something, and it's take a pause, relax for a moment. And the statue itself, the podium that it's on, there are three materials used. The black granite is meant to signify earth and the connection of everything to earth. The rose-colored marble is meant to convey the brick dust of a baseball field and all that entails. And the home plate, it's an alabaster, is meant to float above and be the connection. This home plate is exactly opposite to the home plate on the baseball field, and it's to convey the field of life. If the field of play is the 180 degrees in there, this is to convey the balance of life. And the visual connection, the eyes of the statue only connect to the batter at home plate. And so the symbolism behind this is to try and connect the field of life to the field of play. And then the statue itself, the physicality of the statue, while it is very much a likeness of my son, it's meant to typify the timelessness of baseball. The shoes are out of the 1940s. They're old leather shoes with cleats riveted on. Today, young men would only play in rubberized, unified soles. The material of the statue itself is a woolen material done out of the 20s and 30s. It's not the nylon, tight, hugging nylon. Any young man that plays in youth athletics plays with a metal bat. Out of economics, that's a wooden bat. That's to typify the highest level of accomplishment. Only professionals play with wooden bats. And then the last thing, that's a nice little subtlety. If you look underneath from the statue and look up, a baseball player of high school or college level will pull his hair out of the way and put the hat down so hair's not in the way. But a little guy will pull his hat down from back to front, and there's actually hair showing just underneath the front of the hat, and that's meant to sort of look like an 8-year-old, because an 8-year-old will be a little sloppy with the put on of the hat, and so it's meant to convey the timelessness of baseball from the 20s up through current. And probably the thing that I enjoy the most when I'm here, if I see a father and a son, or a grandma and a son or a daughter, if they come up to the statue and they pause, and I see the two of them talking, whatever they're talking about, whether mom is reading the sign, whether they're trying to explain what the statue means, that's what this has accomplished. And I'd like to think that when people come to this stadium, there's a little bit of a different reverence to the sport, and they realize, wow, there's a lot more to it than winning and losing. That if this somehow, however indiscreetly, signifies humility and doesn't speak to winning and losing, that it speaks to a much broader importance of baseball, then I think that's part of what gets accomplished here. And just the poem at the very end kind of speaks to that. It talks about the first half of the poem, put me in, coach, grab a knee, the coach will say a time to connect, before and after they play. Yes, the excitement for all is in the game action, the timing, the skill, and the split-second reaction. But grabbing a knee, waiting and open, for words of advice and encouragement spoken, with eyes fixed to eyes and knowing without bounds, is the silent spirit of baseball and your soul to be found. And I guess if the walk away from this, if somebody thinks of the silent spirit of baseball and your soul, it says a lot more than winning and losing.